All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I hope you're having a great week, and if this is your first time listening to the Daily Mastermind, I hope you gain some thought-provoking ideas that are going to help you take your life to the next level. My whole goal, the whole reason I put the Daily Mastermind together was to help you to create your best life, to really unleash the potential I know you have. So let's get you started with the quote of the day. The quote of the day is from Colin Powell. And it's, there are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Now, I want you to take that quote, and I want you to remind yourself, these quotes, even though you might have heard of them before, are designed to get your mind shifting into a state of awareness and learning and growing. So remind yourself that there's no secret sauce. There's no silver bullet. It takes hard work. But one of the things I want to talk to you about today that is going to help the work and the results come even sooner, quicker, more rapid is to understand how you frame your past, your present, and your future. So I want to talk to you about a concept that kind of stuck with me. Just recently, I was listening to Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And some of you have heard me talk about them before. He wrote actually 3 books with Dan Sullivan. So Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, they wrote 3 bestsellers. And these are books I talk about often. One is 10x is easier than 2x. And that's talking about the idea that, it really is easier and it is a different framework to 10x your life. Doing 2x, that's just twice as much work. 10x takes thinking outside the box. And then the other book was Who Not How. And what you'll learn from that book is that it's not so much how you're going to get there or how you're going to develop a strategy, but who is going to help you to get there. And there's a whole bunch of great concepts in that book as well. And then the final one, the third one, is the gap and the gain. And that's the idea that as entrepreneurs, most of us, we always kind of measure that gap between where we are and where we're going versus the gain that we've accomplished in our life. And the motivation that comes from measuring the gain really will help you to get further ahead in life. So one of the things that's common about these 3 books is that they challenge the framework, the philosophy, the filter you use in a lot of areas of business and your life. And one of those principles that, Hardy spoke about just recently that I really liked was how you use your past, present, and future to shape your activities, your results in your life. How you view your past, present, and future. So let's talk about that for a second. Because obviously your philosophy, your framework, your filter that you use on life is going to determine and change the direction of what you do in your life and the results that you get. So here's what most people do. Most people, they look at their past and they use that to define who they are in the present. Think about that for a second. We all look at all the circumstances and situations and experiences we had in the past, and we say, well, that's why I am who I am today. And if you're part of the mastermind, you're saying, I take responsibility. I am who I am based on the past. But what you've got to realize, the empowering principle here is rather than using your past to define who you are in the present, successful people, people that are conscious creators that are rapidly transforming their life, they use their present moment to frame their past. They use the present moment to frame the situations in the past. Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this quite a bit, where as he got further in life, and he says, as you get further in life, you'll look back on the tapestry of your life and you'll realize that events in your life take on a different meaning. And you know what this is like. When you're in the grind, when you're in the moment, you're experiencing something really overwhelming, whether it's a divorce, a failure, a bad business deal, a business partner separation, all these situations seem very overwhelming and you try to learn what you can. But as you go through life further, you can look back on those situations and you can learn and grow and use those to a different, tune in your life. So most people use the past to define who they are, but if you're going to create rapid transformation, you have to learn to use your present to look back and frame the past and focus on what you want to focus on. Another thing that's very important to understand is that most people, and I'm guilty of this, you're guilty of this, most of us use our present moment and where we are to frame where we want to go. How do we 2x our life? How do we 3x our life? Based on our skills, our situation, our opportunities, we try to create a compelling version of the future. But successful people, truly rapidly transforming people, use a big, compelling, clear vision of the future to shape what they're doing in the present moment. They don't use the present to create the future. They use the future version of themselves, the best version of themselves, that 10x version of themselves, to determine what they do in the present moment. And so it's very, very important that you learn that you got to use your present to shape, to frame your past, but use your future self, the 10x version of you, to determine what you're doing in the present. Now, I want to make a point to you that I really want you to think about, and that is that your past and your future are just drafts. What do I mean by that? Well, your past is constantly being rewritten by the filter and frame that you put on it, right? So it's just a draft. It's not fixed. And your future version is constantly expanding based on your knowledge and confidence and things like that. So knowing that your past and future are drafts, it's just the present moment that you can really choose to write the past and write the future. So you have to choose what you're going to focus on, what you're going to emphasize on. Are you going to emphasize the bad experiences that you had? Are you going to emphasize the things that happened to you instead of for you in the past? No, you're gonna emphasize the things that will help you to grow and learn and move forward. And in the future, are you going to focus on what you think you can do, or are you going to create some epic goals, create some big vision? So how do you do that? How do you create the epic future and present version of your life? Well, here's how you do it. You set bigger goals. You 10x the future that you right now think you want to create. Because based on your experience and your history, you're saying, well, my skills, I think I could do this, and I'm stretching. I'm here to tell you, you need to 10x that. 10x the future version of yourself. Create the best version of yourself. Create the best version of your business, the highest that you can for revenue. And why do you do this? Well, the reason is simple. When you set massive goals, 10x goals, and you limit your pathway to actually get there. There's only certain things that can make you get to that 10x version of yourself. You can't just do twice as much of what you're already doing. You've got to create new pathways. So when you set massive goals, it requires you to take stock in what you're currently doing. And you realize that 80% of what you're working on is not going to get you there. It's the 20% creating most of the results that you've got to really double down on. And then you've got to find new paths and new abilities and new opportunities. And it's very important for me that you understand that I believe you have the potential to create massive results in your future. But you've got to set big goals. And you got to remind yourself of something. You're not going to get out of your present moment using yesterday's logic. The mind that got you here is not the mind that's going to get you further. So you've got to have a leap of faith. You've got to take some steps to believe that you can create that compelling future and that you are not your past self. That's not you. I mean, think about that. Just, logistically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're not your past self. And so you can't be thinking like that. You've got to expand your vision to the 10x of who you are. And ask yourself this. This is what it really boils down to. Are you committed to your future self? Or are you stuck in the present nor past? Ask yourself that. Are you committed to being that version of yourself? Because if you're committed to being the best version of yourself and having the life that you were meant to live, and I do believe it's never too late to create that life you're meant to live, you've got to ask yourself if you're committed to your future self. And if you're committed to your future self, then you've got to start acting like that in the present. And it's not about, this is a thought I want to leave you with. It's not about the number of years you have left in your life. It's about the amount of life that you live in your years. That's such a great quote. It's not about the number of years you have left in your life. It's about the amount of life you live in your years, because you could squeeze 10 years worth of productivity in the next year. You could be looking back and saying, I'm 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, and I've done more in the next year than I've done in that entire time. But you've got to get focused on creating a vivid future vision to guide your activities in the present, and only frame your past to the extent it's going to help you. That's the message I want to leave you with today. That's the message I want you to think about. I want you to really, truly focus on creating your best life in the present moment, and that requires a vision. Now, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Hit me up, share this show on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you share it. Tag me so I can see you're sharing it. And then hit me up. Every once in a while, I'll give out my personal email address. I'm surprised how little people take me up on it, although I do get barraged at times. My email address is george@g3worldwide.com. george@g3worldwide.com. Email me. Let me know what you're working on. Tell me what you're struggling with. What can I do to help you? What can we do to help you create the faith and the belief in a 10x version of your life? That's the goal of this mastermind. And that's the goal of this episode. I hope you have an amazing day. I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. Once again, my name is George Wright III, and this has been the Daily Mastermind.